Hey guys, I just got myself motivated to make this little video here after watching a video from Eric at Iraq Veteran 8888 that was on his Vetterly connection video. It's a great video. I love how he just goes to the entire evolution of the firearms at that period. But I took a little exception to what he was saying towards the end. And that was when he's pulling up the Austrian M95 rifle, which he compared to the Dutch M95. Now, these are only similar in the fact that they share a magazine system, and at least for a short time, they were both made by Steyr. They've both got the Mannlicher style magazine, and until 1904, they were both made by Steyr. In 1904, the Dutch moved their production to Hembroek in the Netherlands so they could have their own domestic production, which means they were no longer being built in Austria, which, considering what happened about 10 years later, is probably a good thing. As all of Europe is burning around them, it's best not to rely on an outside country to produce your armaments, especially when that country is already knee-deep in the war. But the Austrian 1895s, they're sweet little handy carbines. They'll kick you like a mule, so you learn not to shoot 40, 50 rounds out of it at a time, unless you want to put your arm in a sling the next day. But as he mentioned, they do come with the end block clips. The entire clip slides into the rifle, locks in, feeds off the clip. Feed the last round, the clip drops out the bottom. Same thing on the Dutch rifles. Difference is the Dutch clips are bi-directional. There's no real way to put it in, you just stick it in. As opposed to the Austrian ones, it can only go in one way. Now, some people say the bi-directional clip is an advantage, which I totally understand, because you just pull it out, stick it in. You don't have to worry about which way the clip is facing. The only contrast I have to that is the way these Austrian clips hold the ammunition. I will never pick it up the wrong way. I mean, just feeling it in my hand, rolling it over, not looking at it, I will never hold it in the wrong direction to slide it into the rifle. It just feels totally different one way from the other. Granted, I'm not being shot at. I'm not in the middle of a battle. So I could totally see that kind of stress making this kind of thing difficult, where the fine motor controls aren't as good. The little tactile sensation, like this is how it's supposed to be, as opposed to this, might not be as good. But for just civilian shooter, just a milsurp lover out on the firing line, this should never be an issue. When it comes to the Dutch rifles, how they're different, as opposed to these Austrians with their straight pulls, their ladder sights, solid bridges, you have got a turn bolt action, the split bridge, and a tangent sight. So a little bit of a difference there. It's also got a much slicker action. This thing is very smooth. In fact, so far this is the smoothest action I own. Now, granted, that a lot of that could be that there is no clip in it right now. I'm sure adding the clip will add a little bit more resistance and tighten up the action a little bit, but being a bare rifle, it just glides right on through without a problem. Now, the other nice thing about them is it is a cock-on opening, very much like your Mauser 98s. Very similar safety. It's a flag, drops one side or the other. Its bolt release is push button right on the side. Again, very nice, very convenient, and actually a little bit nicer than the Mausers, as I can do this one-handed. I don't need to use one hand to pull the tab on the Mauser out and then pull this out. This just pulls right out. slides right in. It's actually a very slick action. So, and of course, it does shoot the 6.5 by 53 rimmed Dutch round. Also, could be called Romanian. They use the same ammunition. This stuff is notoriously hard to find. You can only really find it in surplus form. As far as I'm aware, there is no company that makes commercial production for it. No company makes brass for it. And in fact, I haven't even seen reloading dies made for it. So if you know somebody's making reloading dies for 6.5 by 53 Dutch, let me know. I'm in the market. But as of right now, I've got about 85 rounds of this stuff laying around, and I'm really hesitant to shoot it because I can't replace it. I'm confident it'll work just fine. I just can't replace stuff once I shoot it. Another interesting thing about that ammunition that I've heard, I can't verify it. Well, I probably could if I dug into it, but I haven't dug into it before this. It just popped in my head now, so you're just going to get my raw assumptions. That it has a boxer primer, but it's an proprietary boxer primer. Normally, for a boxer primer, you have the single flash hole. The anvil's built into the primer itself, and it just jets up and fires. Berdan's, you have the two outs, the holes set apart in the priming pocket because the anvil is actually part of the casing, not the primer itself. But if I remember right, on these Dutch rounds, they had two flash holes offset in some strange boxer primer that was using the offset flash hole. So these rounds will actually not even decap properly with the standard decapping pin. You'd have to use like a Berdan method for decapping them. And then I don't even think you can get proper primers to fit these. So this brass is, you know, it's disposable once I shoot it. You can't reload it unless you want to get into some really complicated stuff. I'm not sure what else to tell you about these rifles. I mean, it should be a pretty sweet shooter. It's moderately heavy with a nice light cartridge. This particular model was made in Hembrook in 1916. So while Europe was burning around them, they were building this rifle just in case Germany decided to get a little antsy, which they did a few decades later. But the final note, when going out and buying your Milsurp rifles, one thing a lot of these guys do that I'm watching, they always forget to find the bayonets. Adding the bayonets to your rifles just adds so much more character to it. And it makes these things ridiculously long. That should all be in frame just barely. But yeah, and just for reference, I'm 6'3", and you can see how high this bayonet's coming to. And to give it a little bit of a turn, you can see where the muzzle is sitting. So this is, if I remember right, the rifle is slightly longer than the Mosin they got, 9130, with the bayonet being a little bit shorter than the Mosin's bayonet. That pretty much comes out to about the same height when they have the bayonets mounted. In any case, I do thank you for watching. If you have any questions about this Dutch 1895, I will do my best to answer you. I'm no Othias or Ian, but I will see what I can do. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for watching.